Hello. I want to talk to you about a subject that most of us would rather not talk about, let alone experience. I want to talk to you about transition. Yes, that's a thing that most of us spend a good chunk of our lives attempting to avoid. Transitions are looked upon as difficult and challenging and uncomfortable. But do they have to be? I want to submit to you today that they do not. In fact, I believe that transition has been given a bad rap. What do I mean by that? Well, as I stated before, most of us attempt to avoid transition. And yet I want to submit to you some thoughts today that may change your perspective. Without transitions, there is no learning. Without transition, there is no growth. Without transition, there can be no promotion or increased responsibility, influence, or authority. Transition is a normal part of life. It should not be something that we live in fear of, or even worse, in avoidance of. It's how we move from one season to the next. Transition can be an ally. It does not have to be an enemy. We find ourselves in transitional seasons all the time. It's how we approach those seasons that make the difference. I believe that we can do more than just survive a transitional season. We can actually learn to thrive in the midst of those times. How, you may ask? Well, one is our attitude towards the season we find ourselves in. If we are in a transitional time, how we deal with our attitude and how we shape our perspective is going to directly influence our experience. It's as simple as that. Simple, not necessarily easy. We all go through challenging times. We might find ourselves in a career change, a move from one city to another, a move away from family, the loss of a loved one. Something can happen in our lives that maybe we did not initiate, and here we are in a transitional season. There are things about seasons we just cannot change. I can't make summer be winter. I can't make winter be spring. All I can do is go through the season. But I do have a choice in how I experience it. My attitude and my perspective will make all the difference. We live in a time where change is at an accelerated pace, especially in the marketplace. Change is coming rapidly through automation and through technology and all the different things. The workplace is experiencing a faster pace of embracing and having to cope with change than ever before. In fact, companies are having to become more agile in order to stay with a competitive edge in the marketplace. This is all rooted in the ability to have the right attitude and perspective towards seasons of change, so that we can navigate them in a way that benefits us and the organization we're a part of, or our career. We must become agile, or we're going to be stuck and possibly left behind. So how do we do this? How can we make transition something that is beneficial as opposed to an obstacle that we do not want to face? Again, this comes back to the very simple principles of attitude and perspective. There have been many seasons in my life that I have experienced change, some of them initiated by me, others initiated by someone else. The common denominator in each of those seasons boiled down to my attitude, my perspective, and what I was willing to embrace. In those seasons that I chose to embrace whatever possible lessons could come to me, whatever possible benefit could be for me in a given season, those are seasons I look back on and I see them as though they were challenging and maybe difficult and maybe even painful. They were extremely beneficial to me as a person. I've grown. I've learned. I've been stretched. My capacity has been increased for what I'm able to do going forward. This is true for all of us. I want to encourage you today to make a decision, a choice, that rather than living in an avoidance of transition, recognize that transition is a normal, natural process, that if we do not embrace it, we cannot grow. If we do not learn how to lean in and engage in the process that transition puts upon us or offers to us, then we will never see ourselves go to another level in our career, our job, in our life, our relationships, or any area of our life. If you live in an avoidance of transition mode, you are basically saying, I am going to settle for who I am and where I am. I think that this fundamental shift in thinking is critical going forward. I think for every business, organization, and individual, the choice to view transition as a potential opportunity rather than an obstacle is going to be essential. I want to encourage you to think about transition differently. Rather than seeing it as this horrible, uncomfortable thing, see it as an opportunity for you to learn, to grow, and to thrive. Attitude and perspective are things that you have complete control over. You may not be able to control much about the season you're in, but those two things are fully within your control. So how you approach it, how you choose to view it, if you will allow yourself the opportunity to grow, then transition ceases to be an enemy and becomes a powerful ally.